Star Trek. Lower Decks just delivered the biggest Star Trek crossover episode of all time, bringing back a jaw-dropping 6 legacy characters from various Star Trek series, along with the original actors voicing 5 of the characters. Star Trek. Lower Decks' final season on Paramount Plus has centered on the USS Cerritos closing fissures in space that lead to alternate Star Trek timelines. However, another starship is assigned to repairing the multiverse, and it's crewed by a host of alternate reality Star Trek legends, led by Captain William Boimler, Jack Quaid, the transporter clone of LT. Bradward Boimler, who faked his death and joined Section 31. The Defiant-class starship Anaximander has chased a vessel called the Beagle across countless quantum realities. Captain Boimler's starship picks up several of the best Star Trek characters from alternate realities to protect the multiverse. In Star Trek. Lower Decks Season 5, Episode 9, Fishing Quest. This includes an alternate reality version of LT. Beckett Mariner, Tawny Newsome, who is a Starfleet engineer. T'Pol might be the biggest jaw-dropper among the Star Trek legends who have made a comeback in Star Trek. Lower Decks Season 5, Episode 9, Fisher Quest. Jolene Blalock played Subcommander T'Pol for all 4 seasons of Star Trek Enterprise. In the interim years, however, Jolene got married, started a family, and left acting. Although she appeared in Star Trek Day 2021, it was widely believed Jolene left Star Trek behind. Incredibly, Star Trek. Lower Decks has brought Jolene, credited with no surname, back to play T'Pol. Star Trek. Lower Decks' alternate reality version of T'Pol has many similarities to the Prime Universe's Vulcan from Star Trek Enterprise. The alt T'Pol was married to Trip Tucker, Connor Trenier, for decades because her Trip didn't die as he did in Star Trek Enterprise's series finale. Being married to Trip gave T'Pol particular insight into humans and Trills, as the Vulcan is friends with the surly Curzon Dax, Fred Tatasciore. T'Pol also recalls her version of Captain Jonathan Archer, Scott Bakula, was a big Starfleet nerd, which goes to show some things are consistent in any reality. Garrett Wang returns as Star Trek Voyager's eternal ensign, Harry Kim, but with a Star Trek Lower Decks twist. Most of the Anaximander's crew is comprised of alt-universe Harry Kims picked up from multiple quantum realities. And except for one Lieutenant Harry Kim, all of the other Harrys are still ensigns. Of course, Garrett Wang played Ensign Harry Kim for all 7 seasons of Star Trek Voyager. Star Trek Lower Decks Season 5, Episode 9 delivers another twist, as Lieutenant Harry Kim turns out to be the episode's villain. Seething over how the gaggle of Ensign Kims are disrespected, Lieutenant Kim goes rogue and puts the entire multiverse in jeopardy. Star Trek Lower Decks tells a great gag about how it seems to be Harry Kim's cosmic destiny to remain the lowest-ranked Starfleet officer in nearly every reality. And the one Harry Kim who rose in rank ends up being a threat to the multiverse. One of the most requested Star Trek Deep Space Nine characters to make a comeback, Alexander Siddig, finally reprises Dr. Julian Bashir, but with a multiverse twist. Star Trek Lower Decks' version of Bashir is an emergency medical hologram. In Star Trek Deep Space Nine Season 5, Episode 16, Dr. Bashir, I presume? Julian was meant to be the basis for a new version of the EMH until it was discovered that the good doctor underwent illegal genetic modifications as a child. Star Trek Lower Decks' holographic Dr. Bashir may or may not have been based on an augment in his universe, But Julian is in a relationship with Elam Garak, Andrew Robinson, from a different reality. Lower Decks' Bashir and Garak love match pays off an unfulfilled story that was only hinted at in Star Trek: Deep Space Nine. It's also savvy that Star Trek Lower Decks places Dr. Bashir on a Section 31 starship when Deep Space Nine's Bashir was sought after and briefly became an unwilling operative of Section 31. There's no mistaking the smooth tone of Andrew Robinson as the voice of Elam Garak in Star Trek Lower Decks. Garak is one of Star Trek Deep Space Nine's most ingenious creations. A former Cardassian spy for the Obsidian Order who was exiled and set himself up as an innocent tailor on the DS9 space station. Eventually, even Captain Benjamin Sisko, Avery Brooks, came to rely on Garak's skills and subterfuge. But Garak's most important Starfleet connection is his friendship with Dr. Julian Bashir.